with The Undertaker hoping for Bray Wyatt's WWE return and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for April 11th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Making a return to WWE, Lacey Evans appeared on SmackDown and was talking about being a single mother and her real-life story. On Busted Open Radio, Bully Ray praised the company for their repackaging of Evans. I loved what I heard from Lacey last night on SmackDown because this is what I wanted from the beginning. I know they gave her a gimmicky character when she made her way to the main roster. They gave her the whole Southern belle and the accent, the 50s style pinup model. But when you force feed someone down my throat like a Lacey Evans, you want me to hate a single mom who is also a Marine. I'm sorry, she was raised by a single mom. Lacey, in her own right, is a mom, and she was a Marine also. When I know that story, and the WWE has told us little bits of that story in the past, I can't hate a person, especially a Marine. In my eyes, they're on a good track with her. At WrestleMania 38, Roman Reigns defeated Brock Lesnar to become the undisputed champion in WWE. The Tribal Chief has since been making appearances on Raw and SmackDown, as Andrew Zarian on the Mat Men Pro Wrestling podcast noted that the company has not decided what to do with Reigns having both world titles. As far as I know, and this is something I was told, it hasn't been decided yet on how they're doing this. Like, the concept of how they're going to do this unified title thing. I don't think they've decided if he's going to be on Raw every week or every other week. It hasn't been set yet. They're working all of this out right now on how they're going to play this out. With Roman recently telling the Usos to go after the Raw tag titles, it remains to be seen what is next for the Bloodline. With AEW President Tony Khan claiming much of the online hate for his company come from paid trolls and bots, Eric Bischoff spoke to Body Slam about these claims as he said, "Man, I'm embarrassed. That's the best way to say it. I'm embarrassed for Tony. I have no idea if what he said was true or not true. Who knows? He has enough money to figure that thing out. Let's assume he's right. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. But don't sell it. Don't go and whine about it because guess what happens next? Once you sell it, people who otherwise wouldn't jump on and take a swing at you are going to jump and take a swing at you because you were simply selling and reacting to it." Jim Cornette would also give his take on this, saying this on his podcast. Is there anybody around Tony Khan who could tell how stupid that sounds before he says it? Or he's just allowed to blither on in any way he wants? Of course, there are a bunch of people on Twitter that are not real at all. I highly doubt that WWE would do that. I do believe that it is ridiculous. I think that's amateur and childish. And what world are we living in? Like I said, steal a sponsor, take buildings away, sign exclusive deals with buildings, try to poach their talent. Those are the things you could go to Vince McMahon with if they were in a promotional war, and he would sit with you and talk to you about it. Following his return to WWE at WrestleMania and win over Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes would let fans know last week on Raw that his intent is to become world champion. At the end of his promo, Rollins came out to the ring, which led to Cody extending his hand to shake Seth's. Steve Carrier of Ringside News revealed that there was an alternative ending for this segment, writing, "Here's an interesting note about the script for Raw last week. It had two choices for end of Cody's return segment. Seth Rollins extends his hand for a handshake, and Cody, without hesitation, shakes Seth's hand. Rhodes ended up extending his hand without hesitation." Fightful reported that plans were changed for Cody's segment. On Monday, the Cody Rhodes segment was scripted to go on last, even appearing internally as such until about a little after 7 p.m. EST. We weren't told a reason the Cody and Reigns segments were flipped. Sticking with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes mentioned in the post-Mania media scrum that he had been thinking about making the move to WWE for a while, revealing when he started having these thoughts. Maybe around the Royal Rumble, because I didn't think I'd get another shot at it in terms of I was really proud of the run I had with WWE, but at AEW I was the executive vice president, head of the outreach department. I had a lot of kids, some of them may be older than me, but I had a lot of people that were in my direct purview, so I didn't have time to think about it. We had a show, we had a business to run. I wanted to make sure, and I'm so so glad I got one with Sammy Guevara on the way out. It was just moving so fast, and of all the fun projects that I love doing, everything was moving so fast, and as soon as the baby was born, it was instantly the second thing I thought, other than she's so beautiful, is that I have to make a lot of money. I was busy, and I think around the Royal Rumble, because what happens with the Royal Rumble is, this is going to sound super marky and that's fine. I have really good Rumble stats. They're in the top 10 of the Rumble, and I'm like one of the two in that top 10 to not win it. And I remember thinking that's going to go away. Ziggler is still at it. These guys are still in there and getting the time. It would be really good to go back in a vindicated type way. I try to be the absolute best wrestler in the world and prove it here. So I'd say about the Royal Rumble, at the time also creeping in my mind, as much as I love where I was and I loved my job, it's no one's dream to be an executive. It's cool for a minute and you get blamed for everything, and that's not your dream. Everybody wants to be a wrestler. The dream is to put the belt on in their underwear, and I locked myself out of that because I didn't want to upset fans and do that, and they still got pissed. I'm thinking, sorry. I locked myself out of the main title picture, so around that time I told myself I didn't want to be a gatekeeper wrestler. So around that time, it would be what's best for the whole business to do this. I think it's for everyone to do this and free up the real estate. They hired like 15 guys with what was available at the time, so that's good. Yeah, I'd say around the Royal Rumble. Talking about the release of former NXT Tag Team Champion Nash Carter during his title reign, Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE firing Nash has not been well received by talent backstage. In NXT, from what I have heard, the decision to fire him was not well taken, because I think people liked him and everything like that. The Hitler photo was when he was 19 years old, and it was the photo that got him sacked from the company. I know that WWE was aware of the whole thing before it ever went public. I heard right before Stand and Deliver some stuff was coming out, and I know people there who said WWE was aware long before this. It was previously noted that WWE did not believe the accusations of abuse that came from Nash's wife Kimberly, with her said to be seen as an unreliable source. At ECW One Night Stand in 2006, Rob Van Dam would cash in his Money in the Bank contract for a WWE title match against John Cena. Thanks to interference from Edge, RVD would hit the 5-star frog splash on Cena and become champ. This would lead to RVD leading the new ECW brand, as he was awarded the ECW World title after. Talking with What Culture, Van Dam reflected on the arrest that led to him losing the title. When I did have the World Championship, I dropped the ball by getting busted, whether it would be a crime now or not. And by the way, it was just, I had a bag with me, it was possession, but that is really all that it was, which isn't, even illegal a lot of times, but I feel like, hey, that's great that we've made progress and I'm glad to be a part of that. And so yeah, I believe that is just part of being ahead of my time and part of feeling valid. Like I have a place in this life to move people forward in ways that I see are necessary or fit. During an interview with Ryan Satin on Out of Character, Sami Zayn revealed that he has been more involved in the creative process in WWE since he signed a new contract. Let me just nip this in the bud. I don't want to act like I'm booking my own stuff because I'm not. But I swing a lot, and I don't think I swing a lot of duds. But sometimes I swing ideas that there's reasons why I don't know why they won't work. And sometimes they tell me that won't work because of X, Y, Z. But a lot of things they'll take and okay, it's not exactly how I envisioned it, but pieces of it get through. Having even a little bit of creative input, I think that's what's really taken my appreciation and my enjoyment of being here in WWE to another level, is I'll say, hey, I really wish we could kind of do this. And then some version of it happens and I'm thrilled. I'm over the moon. What more could you ask? To just feel like you have a voice and you're feeling heard, and then when you actually go out there and do it, you feel respected and valued. That's really what kept me here. In July of last year, Bray Wyatt would shockingly be released by WWE despite his success with his new character, The Fiend. At WrestleMania Access, The Undertaker spoke to fans about Bray, as the dead man hopes he finds his way back to the company.
Bray Wyatt, I really, I hope things get worked out with him somewhere, because he is a phenomenal talent, and I think he has a lot to offer this industry. So, I only wish the best for him, and hopefully at some point he comes home.
Yeah. Undertaker is also said to be getting his own show on Peacock, as WrestleVote said. In a show similar to that of Broken Skull Sessions, Peacock and WWE have convinced The Undertaker to enter the podcasting world. Source states his new show should begin airing within the next few months, a fascinating concept that was unfathomable just a few years back. Given the fact that the WrestleMania main event between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar only lasted about 12 minutes, Dave Meltzer revealed on Wrestling Observer Radio that this bout was not cut short. That's not even true. That was the match. That was the match that was laid out. That's the nature of the way they put Lesnar matches together, which is boom, 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 big move, big move. It was not a bad match by any means. It was a Brock Lesnar match, no different from many others. Speaking about Cody Rhodes leaving AEW to return to WWE, Chris Jericho mentioned on his podcast that Cody is now an even bigger star than before. I was honestly disappointed he left, but I get it. I've done it many times myself. I mean, I left WWE in 2017 for basically the same reason why Cody left AEW. From what I understand, is he just didn't think he was getting the, I don't know if it's the spotlight or respect or whatever the word being. You can kind of see the writing on the wall. So obviously, now Cody is bigger than he's ever been just by changing companies, and obviously they did a great job in putting him over at WrestleMania and bringing him in at the highest of levels. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.